.3248 acres and presently owned by Mary Louise Smith Family Limited Partnership Number 1 and Southside Development as the applicant. And we have a notice of opposition to a Planning Commission recommendation and request for this hearing. And before we actually begin testimony, I want to make sure that everyone understands, please, everyone on fiscal court, please mute your own devices, because this is we don't need a lot of feedback because this is being recorded.
Tony, Rex, and Tom need to mute.
Say that again.
Tony, Rex, and Tom need to mute, or Nikki needs to mute them. I see their.
Why don't you give that direction?
Okay, I'm looking at the gallery and I see that Rex needs to mute his. Tom, if you'll mute, please. Tony, if you'll mute yours. And just as Judge Buchanan said, boy, that's feedback.
I'm muted on mine.
Okay. Can you turn it down maybe? What's that feedback? Let's go.
Have a little feedback.
We're working on some technical issues.
Does Amy's Zoom need to be muted and it go through the fiscal court mic instead? Just like the judge?
Okay,
Yeah.
how about that? Much better? Okay. So Judge Buchanan, we are here on an appeal that has been filed by Emily Graham. She is appealing the rezoning of the property located.
We can't hear.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Milliken.
Forward is on.
We can't hear her.
It's forward. Let's go. Can we scoot over this one? You know what? I think this is on. Yep.
There you go.
Okay, here we go. Let's start one more time. Judge Buchanan, an appeal has been filed on the rezoning that came from the Planning Commission on property located on Moorhead Road from agriculture to RSD, single-family residential, containing approximately 48.3248 acres and presently owned by Mary Louise Smith Family Limited Partnership Number 1 with Southside Development LLC as the applicant. We have on our Zoom call today Emily Graham, who is appealing that decision. We also have Kevin Brooks. I saw Kevin, who is representing Southside Development LLC. We have Hamp Moore, who represents the Planning Commission, and I believe we are ready to go. As you will recall, the magistrates voted to allow this appeal to occur and to allow the appeal to be one on the record, meaning they have had the opportunity to review the information presented at the Planning Commission by way of, I believe, a flash drive or a CD. They were able to watch that. Ms. Graham made a statement, and she is going to speak today. The court has afforded her 10 minutes to speak. Also, Mr. Brooks has the opportunity to speak as well. The court has afforded him 10 minutes as well. Once they are finished speaking, if you have any questions, Your Honor, they're welcome to ask any questions that they would like. I would ask that you continue to keep everything muted until you have a question. And then once you ask the question, please mute yourself again. Again, this is being recorded, as they all are, but this is being recorded for the purpose of, in the event that someone wants to appeal our decision to circuit court, it will be used on the record. So we want to keep it as clean as possible for that appeal. All right, and if you're ready to go, you're welcome to introduce Ms. Graham and allow her to speak.
All right, our first, the appellant is Ms. Emily Graham. Ms. Graham, if you could unmute your microphone and please speak clearly for the record.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, thank you. First off, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of myself and numerous residents on Moorhead Road and some of the connecting roads. I would also like to say that I did try to keep this from going to appeal by personally speaking to the developer about making some changes to his plan. We had a lengthy discussion, but in the end, I was told that there was no options that he could give me to change his plan or his venture would not be profitable. I also took the time to go door to door. I talked to a lot of residents on Moorhead Road and Cleveland Drive, and every one of us are in agreement that this is not a good fit for our neighborhood. I'd also like to note, which I'm sure you saw on the Planning Commission, there was 2 commissioners who did voice opposition to this, and it was for the same reasons of what I noted in the notice of opposition that you have received regarding the traffic and the density. The property in question has already been divided once. Southside Development does own 16 acres of this property in the back. It backs up to Greystone. They are currently in the process of constructing that right now, which will be 42 homes. The rezoning considered today will add 215 more homes that will connect to the 42 homes, also into Greystone and to McClellan Farms. That leaves 33 acres of the Mary Louise Smith property open to be purchased by anyone and could be developed. Also, on the other side of that, there's 40 acres that is undeveloped, owned by Greystone Properties. So that could be developed in the future and also connect to the property in question. And I had anticipated this being in person, so this is going to be difficult to see. But I did print out this, which you all saw in the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the area in red that we're talking about, that the areas around it, so Greystone Properties, the mean acreage of those properties is 0.4. If you look at Pinewood Estates, the mean acreage is 0.7. And then the other properties, there's Andrews Builders out here, that mean acreage is 2.22. The proposed development is 0.22. So it's half of what we're talking about for Greystone and the other surrounding neighborhoods that this is going to connect into. So that's half of that. Also, the homes in Greystone and the current homes that are being constructed by Southside are 1,600 square foot homes. His proposal is that these would be 1,200 foot square homes. So those don't even fit with the Greystone, much less the rest of the neighborhood out here in Moorhead, which the rest of the property out here is mostly agriculture. There's some real estate. And most of those are built on 1 acre lots with size homes that just range in different sizes. So we're looking at potentially not just this 215 that's going to connect to Moorhead, but could be 600 with all the acreage that's still available that would connect to Greystone, and this would open up all that. We're most concerned about the insufficient road infrastructure out here. Often I have to stop to meet a school bus or a large vehicle. A lot of vehicles use this to connect to Russellville Road. We have to pull off the side of the road to let them pass. I'm concerned that there's not enough road infrastructure for the additional vehicles for these homes. Also, the construction equipment that's going to come with this building. I spoke to Josh Moore at the Public Works Department. We had a lengthy and good conversation. He told me that traffic is considered 1/4 of a mile from the proposed development. So if you go just a little further than 1/4, you're going to come up to the railroad tracks that's on Moorhead Road, which we do not have a gate at that railroad track. That's a concern to me about traffic backing up there as well. And then I'm sure you're aware of the concerns we have at Nashville Road. That intersection is a very heavily traveled intersection. It's hard to get out of. 2 weeks ago on a Friday night at 5:15, I sat there for 8 minutes trying to turn left onto Nashville Road. And that's not out of the norm. And during a regular non-COVID school year, in the mornings trying to get to South Warren High is very difficult. And I know that the developer did put in his plans to put in a dedicated turn lane there at Nashville Road in Moorhead. It's still really not going to change. That's not going to help anything with the traffic flow because you're still going to set just as long because of the flow of traffic that's going from Franklin to Bowling Green and vice versa. Let's see. We also, another resident reached out to Sheriff Hightower to get incident reports for that intersection. And he in turn reached out to KSP and got the incident report. And he got 4 years worth of data of the wrecks that occur at that intersection, that general vicinity. And it was alarming. Sheriff Hightower has that information, and I have that information. I'm happy to forward that to you. I know I only have 10 minutes, so I really don't have time to go into detail, and I know that intersection is not your concern and that the state would be the one to put in a stoplight, but I am concerned about the traffic that we're talking about with additional homes. And lastly, the proposed rezoning, it will not protect the character of our area. And that's one thing in the Planning and Zoning Commission that they had questioned as well, and the 2 commissioners that voted no, they questioned. But when you look at one of the zoning maps, and again, I'm sorry, this is hard to see, but you can see the dark color up in the top, and that's the greystone, and you can see how heavily dense it is. And then you can see what I'm moving up towards the bottom. You can see how spread out, how much open space there is everywhere else. This development just does not fit with Moorhead Road. It absolutely fits with Greystone, but it does not fit with Moorhead Road. Speaking to the residents, everyone picked this area for different reasons, but the top reason for living on this road is the seclusion from subdivisions like the one that's being proposed. The proposed rezoning seeks to significantly change the density of current homes on Moorhead Road. Moorhead right now is low density. This will move to moderate density, and that is noted in the Planning and Zoning staff report. So we'll be moving from a low density to a moderate density. In our opinion, this proposed development is not compatible with the existing homes on Moorhead Road and roads that currently connect to it. And this type of development is going to destroy the neighborhood in our community that currently exists. The residents of this area and myself urge you not to approve this development as proposed. Thank you again for allowing me time to speak.
Thank you so much, Ms. Graham. I appreciate it, and I believe Mr. Brooks is on here representing the developer. Mr. Brooks?
I am, Judge. Thank you for giving us a chance to speak. One compliment I will pay to Ms. Graham, she did an excellent job. And another compliment I will pay to her, and that is she is not a lawyer. Good for her. But I can't help but start by going lawyer here just a little bit. And that is almost everything she said was evidence. And this hearing is not to take evidence. She mentioned lots of stuff that didn't come out at the Planning Commission, and I won't belabor any of it. I just want to note for the record that I object to all of the new stuff to the extent it was evidence and not just purely argument. And I'll try to follow that rule that I just announced. So I think it was 2 fiscal court meetings ago when you approved a bond issue for a new industry coming to our community. And I congratulate you for that. I mean, the fiscal court has had a pretty clear policy for years to foster that kind of economic progress. But given that is our policy, which I applaud, that policy calls for new housing. It's just an unavoidable consequence of our success as a community. So the only question then is, what kind of housing, where are we going to put it? This area, we're all familiar with it. It just seems to be a really good and obvious area for more housing. I'm talking about the area now, not this particular spot. We know this, but I mean, a stranger from Spokane, Washington could spend 10 minutes in our community and say, wow, you know, here's the area. And so what about this particular spot? This is not a remote location. This is not like we've gone way out and decided to plop something in the middle of a cornfield. This is right where there's a whole lot of development. This is right immediately adjacent to two single-family residence subdivisions. Ms. Graham just said it's really compatible with one of those two. I agree with that. So, recognizing that this is an appropriate place to do what we are doing is not just sort of, I think, clear to those of us who don't have a personal agenda like some obviously have to have. The comprehensive plan acknowledges that this is a good place. The future land use map of the comprehensive plan, we didn't have to change that because it foresaw this kind of development. And the Planning Commission, no doubt, approved it for all of those reasons. The thing that we heard the most about, just in volume, at the Planning Commission hearing, and which we heard a little bit about just now from Ms. Graham, is traffic. So I'll address that just at least briefly. So this development will have basically 4 ways out, in or out. Greystone subdivision, McClellan Crossings subdivision, both of those access McClellan Road and a light at Nashville Road. And then, of course, Moorhead Road, you can turn right and go towards Russell Road. You can turn left and go towards Nashville Road. And no doubt, if you live really near one of those 4 access points, you're all in favor of the other 3, but not the one near you. But I think you know as a body, because you've seen this so much, and certainly Planning Commission staff knows, your Public Works Department knows, traffic engineers know, that multiple access points for ingress and egress is good planning, which you generally have approved as a public body. It's good for disbursement of traffic. It's really important for public safety. It's the way we're supposed to do development in a progressive community, and it's the way we are doing it here. None of us understand why the state hasn't required a traffic light at Moorhead Road and Nashville Road. The developer would be delighted if that were to happen. I guess we all assume it will happen at some point, but we agree with that observation. So what can a developer do in this instance? We can do what we did in this case, and that is we asked the Transportation Cabinet and we asked your road department, what do you want us to do? And we did everything we were asked to do. So for all of those reasons, this is really a well-planned, appropriately placed development, and we hope you will approve it. Thank you.
Ask them if they have any questions.
Okay. All right, we have all 6 of our fiscal court members here, and I'm going to ask you if you would raise your hand if you have a question for either Ms. Graham or Mr. Brooks, and unmute yourself. Question, Esquire Cummings.
My question is probably for Ben and the other two folks. The original vote on approval of this development, what was that vote? Just remind me, remind everybody what that vote was to approve.
Actually, don't have that in front of me. Just let me look that up. I'll get back to you in just a second.
It was 2 against,
I
and,
was gonna say,
It was,
Hamp may know, Judge. Has Hamp?
pardon me?
it was 8-2, Judge.
It's either 8-2 or 7-2, I can't remember. Someone answered it, was that
Doug
Squire
answered it.
Gorman said that was 8-2? Okay. 11 members present, 9 voting yes, and 2 voting no.
Oh, no.
That is correct, 9-2.
Okay.
Any
All
other-
right, any other questions from the magistrates? Okay, let's go. Is that Squire McWhorter? Please unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My concern with this development would be not having a light on Nashville Road. I know that is, like Ms. Graham brought up,
Is that a
a
question?
nightmare if you're trying to go left out of there going toward Bowling Green. And also I would like to see this road widened. I think it's only, if I'm not mistaken, it's only about a mile. This development's about a mile off Nashville Road, if I'm not mistaken. So if this is approved, then I'd certainly like for us to be able to get that, it'd be a county road, of course, get that widened for traffic purposes.
Any other questions or comments?
Do I unmute myself or no?
I apologize.
Do I unmute myself?
Yes.
I do?
Yes.
Not on Zoom? This? Okay.
You're okay.
And it's on? Okay. Okay, it's on, okay. Okay. Okay, so if all questions are concluded at this time, then we need a motion. We need a motion to approve the appeal, meaning you are denying the rezoning. You will not have this second reading as is currently scheduled, and you will essentially send this back to the Planning Commission for further instruction, or with further instruction. A motion to deny the appeal means that you understand the rezoning, you basically agree with what the Planning Commission did, and you will have the second reading today. So again, it sounds backwards, but to approve the appeal denies the rezoning.
But to deny the appeal approves the zoning.
Correct, yes.
Do we have any questions, first of all, and do we have no other questions? Do we have a motion either way?
Squire Young makes a motion to deny the appeal.
We have a motion by Squire Young to deny the appeal. We have a second by anyone.
Gorman, second.
Okay, we have a second by Squire Gorman. Do we have any other comments or questions? Ms. Hale,
Yes.
would you please call the roll?
Esquire Payne. Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
No, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The vote is approved with one dissenting vote. And Ms. Graham, we thank you for your testimony, and we appreciate your testimony, Mr. Brooks. There being no other business for this hearing, we are now adjourned.